I recently went to a card show and bought all of these cards for my inventory. I spent about $170 on nothing but low end sports cards. Now, at first glance, it may seem like a waste of time and money spending this much on cards that are only worth $1 to $2, or if you're lucky, $5 or more, especially when the profit margins are so small. This is my life as a low end card seller. When you're dealing with these types of cards, selling in volume is so important. But there is another aspect that is just as equally important, and that is price point. And in this video, what I'm referring to is on the buying side of things. Now, from watching the different types of sports card show vloggers, it seems like the general rule of thumb is for them to try and buy at 70 to 80% of comps. Seems pretty logical, right? But when it comes to the low end space, one can't really apply that logic. So, how does one go about buying low end sports cards? At what price should you be buying these cards at? Well, for me, it comes down to just one question: at what price does it make sense? Let me talk to you. I spend a lot of time going through value and dollar boxes. And to be honest, when I'm buying hundreds of cards, I don't have time to comp out every single one of them. So instead, I start asking myself what price makes sense for certain cards. And depending on that price, that determines what types of cards I end up buying. Most times, I go through dollar boxes in which certain cards are, you guessed it, $1 a piece. At this price, my goal is to find cards that I can possibly sell at $2.50 or more. Parallels, numbered cards, rare inserts, hobby-only sets, premium sets, hard-to-find sets of popular players, buying as many as I can find. And as my stack grows, most dealers will give you a much better discount. And as the price per card goes down, that opens up the door for many different types of cards for me to pick up. Now, occasionally I'll run into boxes like these where they're selling cards at 25 cents to 50 cents a piece. And it's at this price point in which common base cards of stars or Hall of Famers start to make sense. So I'll end up grabbing as many as I can of these types of cards. And once again, when I buy in bulk, most dealers are willing to give you a discount as well. For example, I spent $120 for 223 cards, making each card cost close to around 50 cents a piece. What I ended up buying were cards like these. And I figured I could sell these cards for anywhere between $1.99 to $2.99 a piece and still make some kind of profit. In this other lot, I paid about $1 per card for all of these rookies and these Dennis Rodman Laker cards. And because I bought a good amount of cards, this particular dealer gave me these cards here for free. And I figured I could sell this insert card for a pretty decent price. Now, as you start to increase in price per card, you really have to figure out what makes sense. And that's where comps can come into play. For example, this 1993 Fleer All-Star Michael Jordan card made sense at $5, which I was able to get it for. But on the flip side, the prices that these Jordans were stickered at didn't really make too much sense. At the end of the day, profit is profit, but you also got to take into account the various fees that can eat into that profit. You know, things like seller fees, cost of supplies, the cost of shipping. You keep these things in mind as you go out to buy more cards for your inventory. Now, it doesn't matter whether you buy your cards from card shows, card shops, or even online. You have to take into account of all the different costs that can factor into the buying price. I went through a lot of trial and error trying to gauge what price makes sense. There were plenty of times in which I overvalued what a card would sell for. And that's just one of the drawbacks of not being able to comp out every single card. But as you gain more experience in understanding what cards sell and at what price they sell for, you can become more efficient in the buying process. Now, will you make mistakes? Yeah, you will. But that's okay. It's not perfect. But as long as we're learning from these mistakes, We can constantly improve and get better. And understanding this concept can help. But there is another concept that I consider when it comes to buying low-end sports cards. And it's all about focusing on the collector. And if you want to know more about that, you can check out this video right here.